He's Michael Wilbon, one of the stars of Pardon the Interruption, and great to have him back on the program. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Dan, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind? Like, what is going to be the topic tonight on Pardon the Interruption, in your opinion?
Oh, goodness. I guess we're going to start with last night's football game and whether the Packers, and is there more drama and stress between Aaron Rodgers and his rookie coach, Matt LaFleur. I guess we'll start there. That seems a pretty good place to start with those two teams.
Now, do you guys discuss what should be the number one topic? Like, how often does that happen?
Rarely.
Oh, rarely.
Rarely.
Okay.
But you know what, though, Dan? I'm going to say that, and you know this because you're putting your own show together every day. I'm going to say 70% of the time, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was more like 50 to 60. The number one story, the lead story presents itself, and you shouldn't have to do too much digging to figure out the lead story. Sadly, for the last month, it's been way too much Antonio Brown. But I think I don't know, close to 60% of the time or more, it presents itself. And there's some mornings where I will call in and say, hey, this should be lead, but rarely. And by the time, I think, especially by the time we get ready to go on the air at 5:30 Eastern, the top story or the top two, and then we're splitting hairs between one and two, have presented themselves pretty well by then.
Where does pass interference show up on the rundown today?
It's going to be on the rundown. And some of these things will be how tired are you already of that thing? And pass interference, not tired of it yet. I mean, it's like, why is the league so afraid of acknowledging what's obviously pass interference? Why is the league so afraid of that clear and unmistakable? What's clear and unmistakable to me, I guess, is not to the league or to its zebras or to its television booth people. I'm not sure about that, but some of the topics, when you get tired of them, like Antonio Brown, I think I said the other day, we're at the point now where producers and editors at every workshop ought to justify having Antonio Brown on the rundown. Not just have it automatically, but justify it. Because at some point it's not news. It just isn't. I mean, but I don't think as a culture anymore we're capable of really being discerning and talking and deciding what is really news and what isn't. Everything is not relevant. Everything is not important, but we miss that. And that can happen with anything, including pass interference, but we're not there yet.
It feels also different or interesting that the Eagles feel better at 2-2 than the Packers do at 3-1.
Yeah, and I think maybe because of the injuries, because they were still missing Deshaun Jackson, even though they had Alshon Jeffrey back. And to go on a road and sort of save a game like that. And the Packers also easily could be 2-2, that coming from a Chicago end who thinks the Bears really blew it on that opening Thursday night. But, the Eagles, I thought, needed, if we played that game, if we needed last night's game more, I think it was the Eagles, and I think that's the reason why, that people will feel better about that in Philadelphia, the deep sigh of relief we hear coming.
Do you find yourself looking at Aaron Rodgers with his body motion, whenever he's on the sidelines with his coach, like, are you paying more attention to it than you ever have this year, or is it about the same?
No, it's about the same, and partially, Dan, because I'm just down on NFL head coaching in general. I'm just down on it. I mean, everybody makes everything so complicated. They want to make it so difficult to, in some ways, to prove their own genius. I would rather, if I was a Green Bay Packer, I'd rather Aaron Rodgers be calling all the plays. I'm not saying he always gets it right, but I trusted Aaron Rodgers more than I would a rookie head coach. And you could substitute that sentence for a lot of different people. Not too long ago, I looked up just sort of the roster of coaches and who was coaching, head coaches in 1985 in the NFL and head coaches today. To me, the disparity is numbing. And yes, you can say that different pressures operating on today's coach. Guys now don't get the, second and third chances that a coach would, 35 years ago. All that may be true. But I just look at the head coaching now. I look at some of these games and decisions that are made even through the week. And I trust Aaron Rodgers more than I do Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
And again, you can substitute any number of names in there for Matt LaFleur. I don't want to just sound like I'm picking on him. But I watched the Packers last night and some of those early things. My feeling is, whether he's on the sideline or in the game, that Aaron Rodgers is rolling his eyes sometimes, and I would trust him. I'm trusting him more.
We're talking to Michael Wilbon, co-host of Pardon the Interruption. I mentioned when Rex Ryan said that Baker Mayfield was overrated as hell, I said, okay, I know in this hot take industry that we have now, that'll get lost in actually what he said after he said he was overrated as hell. And I thought that Rex, as a defensive-minded head coach, is probably pretty accurate with what he sees with Baker Mayfield. Now, Rex knows nothing about, coaching offense, but he does know coaching defense. And I thought the overrated as hell was it was clickbait, but then, maybe what was lost in the context of that was he was assessing Baker Mayfield from a defensive perspective, and I do trust his judgment on that. What did you take away from that quote by Rex?
I didn't think it was clickbait. I thought it was fine. I think he's overrated as hell at this point. I mean, Baker Mayfield hadn't done anything. I mean, he had a decent enough year last year. Look, for instance, Dan, the other night in the Sunday night game, where Mayfield can't do anything with the football after he's had it 2.5 seconds, I've been led to believe, and by the way, overrated doesn't mean that Baker Mayfield's at fault for anything. It means that he's been rated too highly by others. And everybody, every analyst, every former player employed by every network, including mine, I've been railing about this for months, all the entire offseason. They all want to talk Cleveland into being a good team.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield's not just part of it, he's the lead of it.
Yeah, we want that story. That's why I said that we want it too much. I don't have them making the playoffs. And then,
I don't either.
Yeah.
But we're old and crusty, Dan, and we're grouches and all that. I mean, but no, I'm with you. You can't talk the Browns into being good. They got to play their way into being good. And Baker Mayfield, who can't make a play when he's got the ball 2.5 seconds, weren't we led to believe he was such a great athlete that with his legs and his mind he could create, he was going to be Aaron Rodgers? No, he's not. He's overrated as hell right now. Now, maybe he'll grow into that statement not being the case. I suspect he might. But why does everybody have to, this isn't grade school. You don't get extra credit. You got to earn this. And he hasn't earned anything yet. He's overrated.
But also, we're the ones that create this. We overrate you, and then we scream that you're overrated when Baker Mayfield didn't overrate himself.
He popped his jersey. I don't have any real feeling of empathy for Baker Mayfield.
I know, but okay, let's say like Lamar Jackson, everybody had their opinion. He's just a running quarterback. Then he comes out and plays well as a passer, and then we're the ones that labeled him, or other guys did. Hey, he can't play, he can't stay in the pocket, all these things. Then he comes out and he plays well, and then we're like, well, give him credit. Like maybe he is that. Maybe he is better. Like I get the feeling, I can't wait for this narrative on Monday, Mike. If Lamar Jackson outplays Baker Mayfield, then it's going to be, oh, the Browns made a mistake. They should have taken.
The decisions, the declarations.
Oh yeah.
Are just preposterous. You know what, Dan? As much as I love watching NFL football, look, I went out. I got I was one of the first people getting a dish, direct TV, so I could have Sunday ticket long before there was the red zone. I did this in the mid-1990s when it first came out because I love watching pro football, and in a way, it sort of gets ruined for me now because of just what you're saying. So now I just wind up watching the games, and it's like, really, do I need the other stuff? Because it's going to make me angry. The declarations, the overstatements on Monday just drive you crazy. You're right. I totally agree with you, and I wind up. I have to be careful. I don't know about how you handle this. I don't want to root against the guys who've been overrated because it's not really their fault.
Yeah.
And I got to be careful about that with Cleveland. But, God, the Browns were enemy number one for me for week one. I just couldn't wait for them because I just didn't think they were any good and didn't justify any of the hype that was heaped upon them during the entire – from February 1st.
I know.
People were telling us, I said, the Browns, you mean they didn't get a bye into the Super Bowl?
You would have thought they would have had a bye opening weekend just because.
At least that.
Yeah. Speaking of overrated, underrated, your network, the Mothership, came out with its top 100 basketball players.
Yeah.
And, LeBron's not number one, so that you got to have a hot take about LeBron's not number one. But I found it amusing that you have people who are paid professionals who were upset that Zion Williamson was ranked higher than Klay Thompson. And I said, well, if you pay close enough attention, you'll realize Kevin Durant's not even on the list. And Klay Thompson's not playing until March. That's why Zion is ranked higher than Klay Thompson right now. When Klay comes back or has a full season, he'll be one of the top 15 players in the NBA, you would think. That's why people are so up, like Zion Williamson, is overhyped here. And I went, okay, might be, but this has nothing to do with Zion. It has everything to do with Klay Thompson.
Klay is not available. Dan, I didn't have an issue with, or a take even, on LeBron being number 3. I'm like, okay, I mean, he's not what he was 10 years ago. He's not.
Yeah.
And I'm okay if Kawhi Leonard, or I'm not going to be okay if Antetokounmpo is number 1. Antetokounmpo shouldn't be rated ahead to me of Kawhi Leonard based on what we just saw. But I had some others, though, and I went a little crazy on Draymond Green being 38 and Trae Young being 28. And people, of course, we're so slavishly devoted and stupidly so to numbers, analytics. Because on what playground, if you were playing for something significant, would you take Trae Young over Draymond Green? If you would, you're an idiot. Sound like our friend Charles now, don't I?
You an idiot.
You an idiot. You always did a good Charles.
But did you know, like John Collins, I think is one of the top 50 players in the world. I'll bet you 99% of the people who are NBA fans couldn't tell you who played John Collins. No,
can't tell you.
I mean, I'm glad he got some recognition.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. But I look at these lists, and I don't know if LeBron goes, man, I'm gonna prove it to people this year. I'm number one. Like I don't know if it matters.
Well, so okay, I don't think it angers LeBron at this point of his life. But the person I mentioned, Draymond Green. You don't think that it's like being named to an all-star team?
Yes.
You don't think that Draymond is a guy because he's in the prime of his career, and you've got guys like even Porzingis, who's never won a playoff game. I don't think he's been in a playoff game. Hasn't even played in 2 years. He's ranked like 4 spots above Draymond, and I think Draymond might. And I don't know this because I haven't talked to him in this case about this. I imagined yesterday when I was looking at that list, Dan, that Draymond would be a guy that says, really? And it would just – there are people, there are athletes, there are all-time great athletes who, yes, they can sort of summon up some extra steam for being, for dealing with slights, real or perceived. LeBron, no. I don't think he's one of those guys, but I bet you there's some guys on that list who are.
I'll leave you with this. We had Chris Mannix on last hour, and he shocked me. He said he thinks the odds of the Lakers winning the championship should be less than the odds of the Lakers not making the playoffs. How about that one?
Yeah, I'm not going there with him on that. But because I'm not buying the Lakers winning the championship either. I don't even have the Lakers in my top 3, and maybe not my top 4 when I finally do it, put it together officially.
Well, he said you got Dwight Howard and a new coach. And
I agree. It's a lot to put Dan, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot they got going on. Let's say the Clippers don't have going on, or Utah doesn't have going on, or Denver, and I still think Denver's a little too green, doesn't have going on.
Portland.
And so, man, it's a lot the Lakers have. And Dwight Howard that sort of gave me the sour milk look on my face, too. But I'm not going to miss the playoffs. I think the Lakers will be in the thick of something, maybe playing for home court. And they're going to be a fascinating watch, I think, so much more than these other times where we thought they were going to be and they haven't been. But, yeah, and what happens – here's the other thing. What happens if LeBron, who's down in, his 17th year? Am I right on the 17th, I think?
I think so.
So LeBron gets another one of these early season boo-boos. And of course he's going to be out longer at year 17 because he's not indestructible, not anymore, than he would have been 5 years ago. What happened then with the Lakers? And
I know.
And Kuzma out already. They got a lot, but I'm still not going lower than like fifth, or you can maybe talk me in the sixth.
What if LeBron?
I don't have him having home court in the first to start the playoffs. I don't.
What if LeBron won another title and did it with a third team?
Then he should just walk off. And
okay,
drop
but would you? Do we have a different conversation about his greatness, overall greatness, compared to Michael Jordan? It's different greatness.
Different, but no.
Okay.
To me, Jordan is out of his reach. But it's like, it's like if Mike Tyson had, I don't know, knocked out Buster Douglas and a couple other people, would he have approached Ali? No. But we would be talking about his greatness a different way. I agree with you there, Dan. But and you can then marvel at LeBron in an entirely different way. But I got too many other. I go back to that whole thing about the playground. If you had a game and you were playing for your life with a minute left in the game, who's getting the ball, LeBron or Michael?
Mike.
I mean, I ask this to people in Cleveland when I want them to just shut up. and far from a LeBron hater, I don't just like LeBron. I admire LeBron. I'm a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
But it's like, don't go there with Jordan on me. Otherwise, I just pull out the single question. A minute left. What do you want? And I see guys just look down and go,
Thank you.
Grown.
Thank you, Mike.
Dan, it's good hearing your voice.
Good to talk to you, buddy. Thank you. It's Michael Wilbon, co-host, pardon the interruption.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.